Hello, and welcome to our town, Driggs, Idaho. I am Mayor Hiram Johnson, and I'm pleased to be your guide on this short tour. I'll be accompanied on this presentation by Doug Self, Community Development Director, and Jay Mazalewski, Public Works Director and City Engineer. Without further ado, let's begin the journey.
Driggs and the Teton Valley enjoy a rich and long history. Long before the arrival of white settlers, Teton Valley, then known as Pierre's Hole, was a frequent summer destination for Native Americans and fur traders. A Clovis Point arrowhead dating to 13,500 BCE was found here, as well as many more recent artifacts. In 1889, white settlers homesteaded what is now the Driggs town site. These families developed successful agricultural enterprises, and in 1901, the Wallace family dedicated the town site. This includes the downtown block proposed to be revitalized with this project. Driggs remained an agricultural community for most of the 20th century. Even with the founding of Yellowstone National Park in 1872, Grand Teton National Park in 1929, and the opening of a local ski resort, now known as Grand Targhee Resort, in 1969, Driggs' economy was cyclical and the population remained fairly flat. It wasn't until the economic boom of the early 2000s, when tourism in the region began to pick up, that Teton Valley was discovered as the quiet side of the Tetons. Driggs has steadily become known as a summer and winter resort destination and a great place to live. Annual visitation numbers at Yellowstone have topped 4 million for each of the last 5 years, with Grand Teton National Park only slightly behind that. Daily skier and summer visitor counts at Grand Targhee have steadily risen, and the resort has been featured in various ski and bike magazines and hosts several major competitions each year. In addition, our community is known for its arts and music culture, hosting various events every year, both summer and winter. We attract a broad assortment of athletes, sportsmen, and artists while still maintaining an agricultural base. Many seasonal or second homeowners, location-independent professionals, own property or call Driggs or Teton Valley home. With this shift in economic base, the character and presentation of the city, especially the downtown core of which this project is a part, is more important than ever.
Thank you, Mayor, and hello, council members. My name is Doug Self. I'm the Community Development Director for the City of Driggs. I'll review the work that preceded our application and showcases our successful efforts to date. The initial spark for the city's downtown revitalization efforts was actually a tragic fire that destroyed a row of historic buildings along Main Street. A letter to the editor following the fire noted, "This is a turning point for downtown Driggs," and asked, how do we want our downtown to look? What services do we want and need for our downtown? And how can we promote economic development? In 2004, the City of Driggs received a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts to host a design workshop seen here on a field excursion to the site of the 2003 fire. The workshop brought in experts such as Ed McMahon of the Urban Land Institute and Jeff Speck, former Director of Design at the NEA, and led to the first physical plan for downtown revitalization. Soon after, a University of Idaho School of Architecture class was brought in to prepare a scaled model of the possible downtown core. The city also hired national experts on walkability, Dan Burden, and destination development, Roger Brooks, who underscored the importance not only of design, but achieving a critical mass of shopping, dining, and nightlife. These efforts laid the foundation for development of a full downtown master plan in 2008, covering the 4 core blocks of the historic downtown. Strategies of the plan included developing interior block parking lots, creating pedestrian-friendly streetscapes, building public gathering spaces, extending and upgrading utilities while also burying overhead power lines, and adding public transit and visitor facilities. The city then added a comprehensive set of commercial design standards and guidelines to support the community's vision. The city and its urban renewal agency updated the downtown master plan in 2016 to incorporate completed improvements and to specifically address the redevelopment details of the Northwest Block, the location of the proposed grant project. Here you can see the emphasis on making public parking and related improvements to support infill along the streets of this block. Between 2008 and today, the city has completed a number of similar projects that have supported downtown revitalization and improved the economic condition of the city. These include expansion of the city parking lot in the southeast quadrant and installation of a new higher capacity sewer line, also funded by a block grant. Conversion of a former grocery store into the Driggs Community Center and City Hall, including the Teton Geotourism Center and City Center Plaza, with funding from the Federal Highways Administration and National Endowment for the Arts. Reconstruction of Main Street in partnership with the Idaho Transportation Department with pedestrian-friendly sidewalks seen in this photograph as well. Construction of a park and ride lot and transit center to the rear of the Driggs Community Center with funding from the Federal Transit Administration. Development and implementation of a community wayfinding plan with funding from the Idaho Transportation Department and the US DOT, EPA, HUD Regional Planning Grant. Reconstruction of West Little Avenue and Depot Street, including sidewalks, stormwater collection and infiltration systems, landscaping, lighting, and utility upgrades, including varying of overhead power and communications. These public projects in turn attracted private investment, including construction of a 3-story Coulter building, rehabilitation of the Key Bank building, and other nearby historic building facades with adaptive reuse by higher activity food and beverage businesses, and rehabilitation of the original courthouse and National Historic Register property, which received tax credits through the National Park Service program. Parallel to the physical improvements, the city and its partners, Driggs Urban Renewal Agency, Downtown Driggs Association, and the Teton Regional Economic Coalition have solidified downtown revitalization programming under the banner of the Main Street program, implementing the 4-point approach of design, promotion, economic vitality, and organization. The Downtown Driggs Association has become a model for other small towns, especially for its signature events, including Snowscapes, Plein Air Festival, and Shakespeare in the Parks. This decade and a half of work has been paying off, as noted through the annual Main Street reporting to the Department of Commerce. Downtown Driggs has seen significant growth in businesses, jobs, and investment, with over $1 million per year of average investment in the last 5 years. Increasing sales tax and TIF revenue facilitate further public investment in downtown revitalization, which is expected to continue showing positive results. I'll now hand it over to Jay Mazalewski, Driggs Public Works Director, who will review the project need, specifically infrastructure deficiencies, as well as the project's design, cost, and schedule. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Jay Mazalewski. I'm the Public Works Director and City Engineer for the City of Driggs. I've worked with the city for more than 3 years and lived in the city for more than 14 years. Over the next few slides, I'm going to show you some of the deficiencies that we have in our downtown core and how this grant and how this project can help us revitalize this area and turn it into a project that we can all be proud of. On this side, we're going to talk about some of the deficiencies that site has. Site has multiple issues associated with it that affect the safety, functionality, and puts our infrastructure at risk. First, we've got lighting. There's one overhead street light that lights the whole parking lot. This is not good for pedestrian safety or vehicular safety. It puts our pedestrians and our public at risk. Next, we've got drainage. As you can see, we've got drainage from the whole parking lot that drains across the sidewalk. In our cold weather climate, this can create a slipping hazard any time of the year, any month of the year. We also have an issue with our access. As you can see from these utility boxes, they block the correct location of that access. Therefore, a cascading event pushes the fire lane outside of the code compliance limits. We also have a fire hydrant that's in the middle of our parking lot. As you can see, it's protected by bollards, but that reduces the amount of available parking and also puts that fire hydrant at risk. Another issue we have is people actually driving down the sidewalk. There's no visible barrier between the sidewalk and the parking lot, so therefore we have people driving on that. These are just a few of the safety and non-code compliant issues that we have with this parking lot. With this reconfiguration, we're able to create landscape islands, which can help us with our stormwater issue, and provide the landscape screening to meet city requirements, and place light poles in there, providing lighting for our pedestrians, our vehicles. As part of those landscape islands, we have now sidewalks included. This provides safe pedestrian access to and from the vehicles, and also to the adjacent properties to the north, the south, the east, and the west. We also had an issue with our water. If you remember, there was a hydrant in the middle of our one of our parking spaces. By moving that hydrant to the center of the block, we're able to provide superior fire protection throughout the block, actually improving the situation for fire protection. Also, by moving that hydrant, we're able to change the fire lane, get the fire lane within the correct spacing for the building, bringing that into compliance. Working with the utility providers, Fall River Rural Electric and Silver Star, we were able to find a better suitable location for their utilities. By moving that over, that allowed us to shift our access further to the east, creating that fire lane that we just spoke of and improving the full site access. Since we had been looking ahead and looked at all of the adjacent properties, this whole system was now designed to connect to the properties with minimal impact. The other major one we had was stormwater. If you remember, stormwater was running across the sidewalk, causing slipping hazards every month of the year, considering it can freeze. What we're doing here is now we're going to take that groundwater, clean it, and then infiltrate it into the ground, providing some groundwater recharge. This is a multifaceted solution that's really going to be helpful for the city of Driggs and bring us into compliance with all of our city standards. So what is next? If we get this grant, I've been given the directive by the mayor to finish the design, get us to 100% CDs, which will take me about 2 weeks. At that point in time, we'll be ready to go out to bid, and depending on the funding schedule, we could be ready to construct late this summer, early this fall, or hopefully by next spring at the latest, and get this project rolling and get the city of Driggs up and ready. Now, what happens after we get construction? Well, after construction, which I imagine will take about 3 months, then we have to maintain this. City of Driggs, over the past 3 years, has been implementing a maintenance plan for all of our infrastructure. Much like the siding on your house, if you don't paint it, it's going to fall apart. Regular maintenance is key. We don't want to just build something and have it fall apart. So we've got built into our budget line items for our transportation for parking lot maintenance. We try to seal a parking lot every 3 to 5 years, stripe it every 2 to 3, and carry on that maintenance. So we've got the mechanisms in place. We've got the funding through our resort tax. We've got all of the pieces to make this a successful project, not just a one-time project, but a long-term viable project for both the city of Driggs, Eastern Idaho, and the region in general. Thank you.
You've now heard about the history of our city, the city's recent efforts over the past decade and a half to improve and remake our community, and the current state of the infrastructure in this block. Now let's take a look at the funding side for a moment. Here you'll see the project budget submitted with the grant application. As you can see, this project is expected to cost nearly $1 million. We are excited to have the partnership of Driggs Urban Renewal Agency, DURA for short. DURA has participated with the city in several downtown improvement projects in recent years, including Depot Street and West Little Avenue, both of which bookend this block on the north and south. Even with DURA participation, as Doug noted earlier, it took years for the city to accumulate the funds necessary to improve Depot Street adjacent to this project. Recognizing our limitations, we chose to apply for the CDBG grant. Without CDBG funding, this project would also take years of saving. Access to the CDBG will jumpstart the redevelopment of this block, allowing us to begin to enjoy the economic benefits of these improvements. It'll also free us to begin working on the next steps of our downtown master plan. The city has also purchased an adjacent vacant parcel to the west, a former lumber yard, for redevelopment. This will knit together the downtown and tributary springs, formerly known as Huntsman Springs, leveraging those private investments as well. These improvements are supported by and partially funded by our downtown partners: Urban Renewal Agency, Downtown Driggs Association, and Teton Regional Economic Coalition.
As a resort town, we welcome visitors from many lands, sharing the wild beauty and natural resources which surround our community, as well as the many amenities within our city. Travel and tourism, arts and recreation, agriculture and sportsmanship, in these we provide visitors a comfortable place to relax and relate. We're selling a product that is our city and all that it has to offer, and this project is a major cornerstone in that presentation. Thank you for your consideration of our proposal.